The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the host and guest and do not reflect the opinions or policies of the station, its owners, or its advertisers. All content should be considered editorial in nature. Listener discretion is advised.
Recorded live from the radio studios of WFAY and WMRV, Androlonis Media presents Cumberland County's smartest hour of talk radio.
Well, everyone, good afternoon and welcome to the Carolina Cabinet. I'm your host, Peter Pappas, and I'm in studio with Mrs. Laura Musler. Thank you for being here. And the intrepid reporter, Mr. Myron Pitts.
All right.
Good to see you, sir.
Thank you for having
and
us.
Thanks for coming in early today. We got a lot to talk about. Just diving right in. So today is first day of filing for all public offices.
Yeah.
I don't think either you or I know.
No, I did reach out to my editor, Beth Hudson, and she said we usually get the list from the Board of Elections
right
at the end of the day, like 5 o'clock. Yeah. So we should have an idea. A lot of candidates kind of hold their water until a little bit later in the filing. Now, it's not necessarily typical the way Mayor Mitch Colvin did it. Of course, he waited until the very last day of filing, when everyone was in, and then, which is his right.
Oh, yeah.
And then he filed.
Well,
and of course, tonight he's getting sworn in with the rest of the council.
And what term is this for him? 6?
This is number 5.
Or 5.
Him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, there's always a question is whether or not he's going to challenge for the title of mayor for life, currently held by, and in a lot of people's hearts and minds, always Mayor Dawkins, the late Mayor Dawkins.
Right.
He was in his 7th term. When he passed away. And so
I believe at the time Councilman Johnny Dawkins said, if Mr. Colvin wins again, I'll help build him a statue or some such thing. I think he was at a NAACP thing. He says, look, if he makes it again, I'll help build a statue.
Yeah. So, I think the only thing that I can see, you never know what's going to happen in politics.
That's very true.
You never know what's going to happen, who's going to emerge. I posed the question, is Colvin beatable? And anyone is beatable with the right candidate. So,
absolutely.
But if things stay the course and he doesn't get called, get a yearning to go up to Raleigh for some reason and try his hat there, I think he's probably on track to go ahead and tie. And then, who knows? Who knows how many terms it'll go?
Well, and there was a lot of, I would say, a lot of heated debate over why he did what he did.
Yeah.
Was it calculated political theater, or was it maybe he really did have a change of heart? And so it was like two schools of thought. Like, did he really want to push things over the finish line, or was he just trying to weed out the problems he foresaw in city council and his other seats and waited for everybody and did a rope-a-dope?
Yeah, I've asked the question, others have asked the question, and his contention is he just wanted to finish out some things. He did have a change of heart. So, I'm not going to...
it's hard to say.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
I think the best theory I have heard, this is not from Mayor Colvin, this is from I guess we'll call it the Peanut Gallery, me and some others, is that he got concerned that the Mayor Pro Tem, Kathy Jensen, would not be able to beat Mario Benavente head-to-head. And I think if you look at how the numbers went, you take Colvin out of that primary, those two probably would have been the top vote getters. And this is just a theory,
right?
That he did not want Benavente to be mayor for whatever reason. I don't know if it was personal. I doubt that. I think he just felt like the governing philosophy is different.
I don't know. I mean, so Myron, towards the end, did it seem to be there was way more forums in this cycle for city council than ever?
There was. There was a lot of forums. I think that's a good thing, actually.
I think it is, but it's the same. It's the same regurgitated questions, the same boring. What are you going to do for gun violence? What are you going to do? And those are important things.
Yeah.
But how many 6 ways from Sunday are you going to do it? It's the police job about gun violence. I mean, not really gun violence prevention, but cleaning up the messes. But
well, I think the reason there are so many forums is that I see that as a positive sign for two reasons. One, I think you have a lot of younger people interested in politics and local politics. That's key because it's hard to even get the old heads interested in local government, but much less young people. So, like Fayetteville Freedom for All was a sponsor of one of the forums. So I think you have more people who wanted to host forums and introduce them to their audience. And related to that is the vote is so fragmented. You know, you got some people whose entire concept of local government comes from word of mouth. Some get a little bit from social media or a lot from social media. You got other people who actually read the print edition of the paper.
I mean, what about those people that actually read your editorials? Good
right,
Lord.
that whole
That's
crowd.
That's, oh my
right.
God.
So between, you're not going to have one master forum that's going to get all these people together. So that's why I think, yes, it can get repetitive. Certainly. You do. I moderated one of the forums, one run by the chamber. I was co-moderator of that. Always enjoy that, by the way. I moderated one of the Hope Mills forums.
Yep.
It does get to be a lot of forums.
I think I was there for that one.
Yeah, but you're reaching different segments of the population, and even with all of that, it's still hard to crack 20%. Local
well, I think we did 15.
Somewhere around there, right? So, more than that. I think it's more like 18.
I think I'd like to see more guys on our show so we can pull some answers out of them more. In the forum, it's kind of like, well, these big ideas, and there really isn't from a local elected official standpoint, there really isn't a lot that any individual
I agree
can
with
do.
That. You know, I've WIDU does a lot of candidate interviews. Sometimes FNC has candidates on, and anytime you have that, you're going to get more in depth. I've done my share of candidate interviews. You just have more time. For forum, especially when you look at just the mayor's race this past time, 10 people running. They're each going to get maybe a couple questions, and sometimes they're not answering the same question. You know, the one of the challenges with moderating a forum or composing questions for them is you kind of want everybody to answer the same question, so you can sort of see where they all stand on that issue. But that's boring as I don't know what.
And they just regurgitate what the other person said. It's funny because some of them didn't even know what some of the things that were asked for, and they're just their mouth fell open and
just talk.
Yes.
Well, because Lori, I think you helped coordinate a couple of those forums.
Yes, the GOP. It was my idea actually. I created a board that we partnered with the Democrats because. If we're
you
not
work with Democrats?
What? Yes. Oh my God, what a horrible person I am. Because I always say that 80% of what we as people believe, we want to look out for our neighbors.
Yeah.
And local politics is way more important than national. And one of my rules was let's not talk national because we're not going to agree on that.
Right.
But we do all agree on what's important here. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat.
Agree, yeah.
We just disagree on maybe how to get there.
That's right. And I've noticed, especially just covering local government for so many years, it's rare that I don't see a local politician that is not sincere in the solutions they come up with.
Right.
Even if the solutions I think are from outer space, they'll never work. But they believe in it though. It's not because the party told them to.
Right.
You know, and that's why I tell people local government is really, first of all, is way more interesting than I think people think it is.
Oh yeah.
I think some people hear city council, public forum, you know, all these votes on these issues. Some of them are a little esoteric. Some of them are very close to home. I think they think it's boring, but go to a city council meeting. Just go. It's actually more interesting.
You don't even have to go. You can watch it from your own home. That's what I do. I used to go, but number one, it's freezing cold in there, and I get cold very easily.
It is very cold.
I think it's to keep people awake, but that's beside the point. And so now I turn, and you can watch it at your leisure too. You don't have to sit there the entire time. If I have to go to the restroom, I'm like, pause.
That's right. And you know, the one thing I will say about forum, there are candidates who I know their political leanings just from following. I know which way they sort of lean. I'm talking about local candidates now. But you look at the forum and you'll see I will see someone I know is, let's say, to the right, maybe far to the right. but they'll be making a point about the way things should be, how they want to see. And I'll see people out in the audience nodding. And some of those people I know are way to the left.
Oh, right.
Right. But a good point is a good point, you know? And so if you want to have a refreshing change from all the partisan politics, that's another thing I would recommend. Follow local government. Plus, it's the one that's closest to your wallet.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
I mean, that's the bottom line.
If you want to get involved in politics, you should be involved in local politics before national.
Yeah.
Because the national on your day in and day out life means absolutely nothing. But we only have 15.1% turnout. So what do we need to do as concerned citizens to get to turn out the vote?
It's hard because there are people who, well, we know this. There are a lot of folks, if you ever read Next Door, and I would take that with a advised caution. Well, if you ever read Next Door, I confess I do enjoy just
that's
seeing
fun. I love watching them argue.
Yeah, but you notice a lot of what they argue about is the actions of local officials. Sometimes there's specific ones. There are certain people on Next Door I almost have vendettas against, and others are just raising good questions. You know, why are we paying for this? Why is so much money going to this and not this other community need? So people are interested when things aren't going like they want it to be. But it's hard to make folks connect up. Well, you actually have a say-so in this. If you're tired of the incumbents, and that's an argument we hear about city council, about Congress, vote them out. Yeah. Well, but then we
put them back.
Go to the vote. Yeah. Well, they go back because their constituents come out. They're buddies. You know, they call them, I think late John McCain called them a family and friends election.
That's the truth.
That's
your family comes out, your friends come out, and that could be enough in local government.
It sure can.
When I ran for office, I had a group of women come up to me and they told me, Laura, we think that you're the best person for the job. You would do a great job if you were elected, but we can't vote for you because you're a Republican. So how do we overcome that? Because to me, local politics to me really are less partisan. Just because I am very conservative, and I am very conservative. Yeah, I want to be fiscally conservative. I want to be like conservative on everything. I want to have each homeless person. If we're going to give $1 million to a nonprofit, then come before me and show me what you did with the $1 million. And don't tell me that you have 32 staff. Let's get rid of 30 of those staff and build 2 or 3 homes and put those homeless in. Yeah. Let's be fiscally responsible because if we're giving you money, then you need to be productive. Accountable. And that's one of the things that when you go to these meetings, you see these people, they keep getting paid. They keep getting paid and they keep getting, well, how many people did you actually get a home for? Well, our staff grew. We were at 28 and now we're at 32 and we're working with 470 people. How many did you you have a budget of $1 million. How many people did you actually house?
That's actually a good way to look at it, because I think that's the way the public looks at it.
Right.
I've sat in, and I think the city, just speaking of the city now, certainly has some initiatives that are worth pursuing in terms of getting people housed. But you don't often see a stat, this month, X amount got under shelter. And of course, that also would be a county problem as well. Yes. 20 got sheltered this month.
But when they show up at these meetings, they don't ask them that. There are no real numbers.
Right. I'm not saying that that's not happening, that people aren't getting, but I think it would be useful to the public to hear that.
That brings me to stuff that we hear during the election cycle. I heard a lot of talk about there's no dashboard to find out where the ARPA funds went. I'm like, it's on the county's website. There's a dashboard. And I think the city has, so a lot of people that are the loudest sometimes aren't doing the basic homework to see what we already do.
Right.
And if TikTok didn't tell me that, I don't know how to do it.
Well, and let me share with you a post I made on Fayetteville, North Carolina City Watch Group. I don't know. It's one of these other bigs. Somebody asked, let's see. So what is on everyone's mind these days in Fayetteville, good or bad? Share your thoughts with members. I'm the only one that's commented in 2 days.
Yeah.
I'll go first. No one discusses the good things we have in Fayetteville. This is a good place to live, work, and play if you know where to go. Yeah. We have big city problems and we have a lot of talent in the city to solve them. I'm not looking at a political solution. I'm looking to my neighbors because that's who does the actual work.
That's right. That's right.
Nobody responds about the good that we have and the things that we already do.
And part of that's, human nature, if you will.
More sensational than negative.
Well, it's,
I'm not clicking anything positive. I want to watch the car roll over in the ditch. Not really. Right. I don't like stuff
and,
that.
part of that is driven, I think, in part by what I consider the old journalism model. And I think journalists have improved. But it used to be, the expression was it bleeds, it leads.
Right.
So, murders, crime always does well. It still does well. But I know for a fact that just through research, and this is one area where the internet and social media and page views and clicks has helped. It's harmed in other ways. But one way it's helped is that we see you can do a story that's not necessarily, rainbows and sunshine, but not a negative story. Just you can focus on a community figure. You could do a feature about someone. You could do about a program that's doing great things and still get attention and page views for it. So that I have seen that change. But I think the way journalists and media has covered issues in the past, it kind of hardwires us to think that the important news is the bad news. What are these guys up to, these women up to in, city council or Congress? And unfortunately, particularly when it comes to U.S. Congress, there is some kind of sketchy stuff going on. And
some.
Right. So that doesn't help. And I think a lot of people think local government, they're just like Congress. They're not.
No, it's not even remotely.
It's not even remotely the same.
I make the House of Cards comparison. So this is not House of Cards.
Right.
The potholes are not partisan.
That's right.
Yeah.
We all need clean water.
Yeah.
We need jobs and cops.
That's right. And it may sound like backhanded praise, but I think people look for corruption when it comes to local government
automatically.
Right. When it's really often incompetence.
I think you'd be surprised by me.
Right.
During the election, many allegations of impropriety and just grifting by our incumbent mayor.
Yeah.
And I was in the position, basically, it was weird.
Yeah.
I was almost having to defend the mayor.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, show me how he did that.
Right.
Without saying, well, I know or didn't know. It's just like, well, how do you think that really happens?
Right. And there are some, and for instance, one thing the local government doesn't have in the same way, the same amount, is lobbying money. Yes, they do have donors who contribute to their campaign, but it's not the same as I write you a check for $1 million.
Right.
It would lobbying, particularly when it's just I give you money and then you vote the way I want. It would be bribery in any other context.
That's right.
You don't see that kind of thing in local government to that degree.
You do see it a little bit, but just not to that. But to me, I said when I ran for office, I was excited about the opportunity to work with our current mayor. He is one classy dude. I have watched him for years, and I think I could learn from him.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with him being a Democrat or Republican. Now I'll get all these people, oh, she's a rhino. No, this man is done successful.
Yeah.
He is a class act. Every time I've ever seen him, I've never seen him live. He's cool. He's very charismatic.
Yeah.
What a great leader. He seems to pull most of the council together. Another sign of a great leader.
Yeah.
I was very excited at the opportunity that I might be able to work with him.
Yeah.
And I is there corruption? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think the case has been made. And I think that really people reach for that a little too quickly.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's watching, again, Congress or it's watching too much TV or just looking for the worst in people. Again, when I think there's decisions that I've seen that I don't agree with, I don't automatically assume, oh, somebody was paid.
Right.
There's something money being passed to the table. I just think that person is wrong on that decision as far as I'm concerned, but it doesn't mean it's a bad person.
But if you put it in context where you see things like a congresswoman, national level, now mind you, that couldn't afford an apartment in Washington DC, could not, it did a fundraiser, and now that same congressperson is worth over $16 million in 4 years, 6 years, whatever it is.
Excellent. Right.
So now you see that. Well, if I earned $175,000 a year, which is the salary of a congressperson, I don't mathematically see in any universe how I could be worth $16 million 4 years later. So in that context, and I see that on my TV all the time, because that's all the TV focuses on is local politics. I mean, national politics.
Yeah.
Well, now I see this mayor or this city council person or whatever, they're on the take too. It just relates down. It's just like natural evolution of your mind. But that's not the way the real world works on this level.
I love that comparison. So our city council members, and I think y'all know, I don't know about what county commissioners get paid, but our city council members are part-time.
Yes.
So
$18,000
something like that. And the mayor gets a little more than that.
Yeah.
And now my brother was a former mayor and served in the city council a couple terms as mayor. And I can tell you, he did not leave that office richer. If anything, he left it a little bit poorer. And this is the reason.
Well,
he was a lawyer.
He was a lawyer.
Right.
Yeah.
He was a lawyer. And
Washington was my lawyer for a long time.
Washington,
Yes.
the old firm Washington and Pitts, right?
Okay.
So a lot of people thought it hurt him on two ways serving on the city council, and he wouldn't trade it for anything. So I don't want to be like, whoa,
No, we've woven this narrative before, Myron. We're good.
Right. So, but it hurt him in two ways. One, he was the kind of council person and mayor who read the packet. Y'all know the big packet that they have to read. Yep. And I remember this is when my mom was making Sunday dinners regularly. We would go over to our mom's house, all the boys, and he would bring his packet. And right after dinner, he's at the dining room table, going through that stuff. That takes time.
Yes, it does.
That takes a lot of time. And that's why a lot of council, I'm not going to name anyone specifically, but you can tell by the tenor of the debate sometimes who read the packet and who didn't. Think of when Ted Moen was on the council.
Oh, my goodness.
He read the packet.
You're right, he did.
Then he wrote his own little packet.
That's right. And then he broke it down statistically down to the neighborhood house.
I tell you, reporters love that guy. Rest in peace.
Oh, yeah.
But that's one way it hurt him. But the other way it hurt him, a lot of people thought when he got on the council, and again, this is where I think the Congress comparison comes in, they thought he stopped practicing law. He's like, I see your brother's mayor, so he's done with law now. No, he still needs business and clients.
Yep, he still worked Monday through Friday.
So he left office a little bit poorer, but like you said, it is routine for Congress people to go in a pauper and come out rich. There's no way that's
not
happening.
To mention salary for life.
Both sides of the aisle, folks.
That's why what Marjorie Taylor Greene, that lives up. That's why she's leaving on December 5th, because she becomes vested and she gets her salary for life. That's disgusting.
Yeah. Now, what do you think is driving her? Do you think that's what's driving her to leave?
I think she's a poor loser. I think that she is not as important as she thought she was. She had some great points. She's a little dramatic for my taste, and she doesn't know how to dress. But that's on a whole nother note. But yeah, why else would you made a vow to your people that you're representing?
Right.
How dare you? After being put in this position, resign early.
And she's leaving in January.
That's right. You are putting people...
Full year.
Yes. In the people that put you in office. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or who you are.
Yeah.
How disrespectful to those people that put you in office in the first place. How disrespectful to President Trump, who relied on you and backed you that whole way. You are a disappointment and an embarrassment to the Republican Party, and just an embarrassment as a human being, because you are not a person of your word. That's my personal opinion, and please take that with a grain of salt.
I always like when people finish their term.
Yeah.
You can not run again.
You made a commitment.
That's exactly right.
You should try to finish.
Well, to me, I don't like that she's resigning, because it's a dangerous precedent that if you speak out against the MAGA or the hard Republican line, all of a sudden you are ineffective. You are no longer valuable to anybody, to the point where your constituents are now at a loss. And there's going to be a special election, I guess, or some appointment for people that were not elected in. So I just feel it's more sinister, more dangerous.
I think it's disgusting.
I'd rather her be called a rhino and stay than be a MAGA that quit.
Well, and
Right.
there are some people who, now, of course, this would be people on the left who thought actually if she stayed, she could do some good, like being, that voice within the party, talking. Because one thing she said, and this is why I asked you that question, what you thought her motives was. She had said, and maybe this was just something she was coming up with, that one thing that changed her mind, she saw that her constituents needed and used things like SNAP and Obamacare subsidies. That was supposed to be, two of her big issues. And and she felt like the Republican Party, it's interesting she should say this about this particular bill, but she said the Republican Party were the ones that were holding things up by not agreeing to the subsidies. Did you buy any of that at all?
Nope.
No.
I do not. Not one, because what the Republicans put forth is a different thing. It's talking about, instead of giving the money to the insurance companies, they want to put which I don't agree that the government should be involved in healthcare anyway.
Yeah.
Just like they're not buying me a gun. That's my right to have a gun, but they don't buy me a gun. It's my right to have health insurance, but the government shouldn't be handing me health insurance, but that's besides the point. But taking that money, if we're going to do subsidies, and putting it in an account for each person to pay down I used to have a $2,500 a year deductible. My deductible is now $8,000 a year. Do you know how much you have to go to the doctor in order to get $8,000 deductible?
That's all going to be out of your pocket.
That's all out of my pocket first.
Plus the monthly premium.
Plus I'm paying $926 a month for two people.
Yeah.
To have health insurance. My husband works for, we have United Healthcare.
Okay. Yeah.
So now if you take
those guys,
yeah, whatever, because they've raised, I'm paying $150 for a Band-Aid. Okay. Well, hold on just a second. I happen to know that a Band-Aid costs like 4 cents, but there are costs with it. So, okay. If I was paying $25 a Band-Aid, I'm okay with that. This is the insurance companies took that money, stuck it in their pocket, and said, okay, now let's charge the people. But if we take that money and we give it to the constituents to say, I'm going to shop for my medical care, I'm going to find out who has a low premium, who has a low deductible, and I'm going to use my subsidies that I'm given back from the taxes that I pay and get good medical care. Now, all of a sudden, these insurance companies will be fighting to get my money, as opposed to just saying, haha, the government said you have to pay me.
I think the versions of that have been talked about for a while. I think it will always break down on the problem, if you will. And I agree Congress has created the problem, is that they will never give individual consumers the amount of money we need to actually purchase affordable health care.
It's like they don't trust us with our own money.
They don't trust us with our own money.
But you know how they will?
I'm sounding conservative.
Is if Congress has to have the same health care that we have.
That's right.
That's the only way, because as it stands right now, they have their own special health care.
We need a different incentive, different care, and better stick.
It'll be interesting to see.
And be careful. I almost took you for a Republican.
Yeah. What goes on with the Obamacare subsidies. Because I think the fundamental problem, I think there's two reasons why the Republicans have yet, on Congress, we're talking about in Congress, have come up with an alternative to Obamacare. One is, I think that a lot of them just don't believe government should be involved in care at that level. That's the main thing. So I don't want to lose sight of that. But I also think that Obamacare is the conservative plan. As crazy
because
as
it's been beaten up from what the original ACA was.
Well, you remember, if you roll back, because I followed this debate, what was it, 2010, like pretty close, 2009, 2010. Obamacare was based on Romneycare in Massachusetts.
It was.
And the roots of that was a Heritage Foundation plan. And it is the conservative plan in this sense. It preserves in its entirety the for-profit system that has the insurers, getting their little piece. People who aren't delivering care, but are making money off of care being delivered. So I think whether someone is conservative or progressive or liberal, whatever, I think we all know the problem is if we could get some of those hands out of this situation.
That's exactly right.
And reduce care to a patient and his doctor or his medical institution, it would save money.
Mm-hmm.
But Mitt Romney passed that in Massachusetts. Now, that would have never passed in Alabama or something, or even North Carolina at that point. But I think it did. Mitt Romney's a businessman, a very good one. Bain Capital. He was doing the hedge funds before it was cool. It's still not cool, but anyway, that's another subject.
I was saying, where are you? Well, wait a minute, hold on. Where is that cool?
But Romney saw it as, look, this is the way I don't really mess with any of my donors. There might be health insurers, and we preserve the system as much as possible and move toward universal care. Mm-hmm. Now, one dirty little secret about Obamacare, which I think, by the way, just by covering pre-existing conditions is a revolutionary change in healthcare. Mm-hmm. So I am overall a supporter of the law.
It's not all bad. Yeah. There are some great things about it.
But one thing about it, it was never meant to cover, and Obama's people said this, everyone. It was always going to be like 10% uncovered. It was meant to be a bridge to universal healthcare, whatever that looks like.
Right.
And I think that's where the GOP and Democrats are going to have to deal with. It would surprise me if the Republican Party at the national level just let the subsidies expire.
I don't think they can afford to politically. There's no way it's going to. But I do think what we're experiencing now is, remember was it 2008 when they passed the ACA and it was this big, huge stack of paper. And I believe it was Pelosi.
2010,
I think it was Pelosi that said,
you got to vote for it.
You got to vote for it to see what's in it.
She said that.
And I think a lot of what was in it is what we're dealing with now. That's being peeled back.
Yeah.
That, there was some stuff in there that shouldn't have been. And we have emboldened these insurance companies to charge us through the damn nose.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's suffered from 1,000 different cuts. Medicaid expansion, which was a part of it originally, it was mandated. There was a conservative challenge against that, and Supreme Court said, no, you can't mandate it. Individual states, if they want to do it, they can do it. And then we've seen it's taken every since
the Medicare gap has grown,
right? And now
you got Medicare A, B, C, D. All of a sudden, now you're paying. I have older parents that pay for their Medicare, where back in the day there was no cost.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So for all of this affordable medical stuff that we're supposed to be progressing towards, we're getting farther and farther and farther. We're moving the ball farther from the goal line, and that's not okay. But in my personal opinion, the government doesn't do anything fiscally responsible and does nothing right when it comes to helping people. From the post office that's been running in the red forever, to medical care, which is called, get out of it.
Yeah.
There is no fundament. I want everybody to have health insurance as a human being. I want, but the best way to do is get the government out of it so it becomes affordable so that everybody can afford it.
I have more or less the opposite view of that. I think well, I just need to get the government more in it.
But where in the Constitution does it say?
No, it doesn't say. I mean, I'm not sure.
And you move those
whereas
rights.
a right to bear arms is in the Constitution.
Right.
I don't know that there's a right to a city-paid police force.
Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness.
But yet, I think people would be like, gosh, we got to have the police. And I kind of feel the same way about healthcare, because you're talking about life and safety. And I feel like the first duty of government, really kind of the only reason this should exist, you could argue, I wouldn't go this extreme, but it's to protect people.
That's a state issue,
and that to me is, if, the difference between healthcare, we all know it. I mean, I've, as I get older, I've seen people pass on. I've seen young people pass on. And we all know that catching things in time, whether it's cancer or anything else, can make all the difference between life and death. And when people don't have health care, they're not getting those regular doctor's visits. And so by the time they actually, it becomes a problem.
It's chronic,
It's chronic, and then we're still paying for it. We're all still paying for it, because if they can't pay,
prevention,
it goes into ER care.
Right.
Is the most expensive care, as we know, as as having 2 littles at home, I know it's a decision whether or not we take him to the ER. It's like, I think he'll hold till tomorrow.
hold that thought with ERs.
Sure.
So what do you think about Cape Fear Valley Health System consolidating and buying all these urgent cares that had 24 hours and whatever, and now the only option we do have is the ER?
Yeah.
Like, is that just what we're faced with now?
That's part of it, yeah. And Cape Fear Valley does not have super clean hands when it comes to all this. When I say that, I'm not suggesting anything crooked. I'm suggesting that profit leads some of that. A good example is they have bought a couple hospitals. One is what is it, Betsy Johnson?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Maybe I can't remember what county. I'm not going to call the wrong county out, but yeah, it was a rural county.
Okay.
And they closed the maternity ward there, and that is a common thing. That's one of the first things closed at small rural hospitals because they don't make money.
Right.
And that should not be the case. And now Medicaid does help small hospitals, but even that is not a permanent solution.
Right.
So
Okay.
I think you have more government in it and less private insurers.
I have a question.
You say it goes to the people.
I have a question.
I don't know. I've met a lot of the people. I don't think we should give them their money. I don't know.
Nobody can spend my money better than I can.
There you go.
I have a question.
Yes.
Give me something that the government has its hands in and runs operationally better than the private sector.
Well, I mean, I don't view the question now. Let's take the Postal Service, okay? Which you look. Okay. There's certain things the government does, and it's more things than we think that the private sector will never do because there's no money in it. The Postal Service has a mission of delivering mail to every address. UPS will never do that.
Right.
FedEx will never do that. Amazon will never do that. It's not cost efficient. I'm not going to take something out to some island off the coast of Alaska because that's not making me money. And you know what happens? That last mile, that's what they call it. The Postal Service delivers that. The other thing I would say in defense of the Postal Service and their monetary struggles, what happened to them is what's happening to some private companies with private equity. They were forced many years ago to have to pay in advance all their retirees' pensions.
Yes.
And that put an enormous debt on them. Without for that, they would be in the black. Now, of course, then the internet came along, and that's a whole other issue. I remember we were at, Fayetteville used to have a sorting facility. And so they were about to close it, and this was years ago. And so it was packed. It was out at FTCC, the same place where I moderated the recent candidates forum, and they had postal officials explaining why this happened. And now this is not going to give you the most confidence in the Postal Service, and you don't have that much anyway.
I've been there, so yes.
But one of them said that when the internet started going, they just had no idea the implications of it. And that's one thing that really... Now, I could say the same thing happened in the print journalism. Yeah. And for the same reason, how could we have been so clueless? And so you kind of want...
Yeah, you guys were supposed to be the smartest in the room, Myron.
Yes.
You educated liberal elites, of the Fayetteville Observer.
Yeah, but I remember when new media, we called it new media back then. You remember that?
Yeah.
We had a little new
and
media
now here
section
you are
of
on
the
new
Observer.
media.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And I was surprised though hearing that admission that they were caught completely flat-footed by it.
Well, because nobody thought you were going to pay things online. We didn't have back then secure ways to pay. I mean, PayPal, isn't that where Elon Musk made all his money?
That's right.
I mean, that was a revolutionary thing. That's why he made the billions.
Yeah. Do you want to know why I do subscribe to the e-paper? Do you want to know why I don't get the paper?
Why?
Because nobody comes to my door and knocks on my door and asks. There's no paper boy.
Yeah.
That was my first job.
I've done the paper as well.
I have, rode my bike up and down in California. If anybody would have, before I got the e-paper, come to my door, and I even called up the Fayetteville Observer and said, I would like the paper. Is there a paper boy? No, you just pay online. I don't want to pay online. I want that little kid to come to my door because,
Yeah.
That's like your first job.
I think I can say you're on there. I subscribe to the Sunday print edition only, just because I read my news online. I'm like everybody else. I always recommend
there's
people.
nothing like opening the newspaper,
I know,
opening a book.
Yeah.
Just all of I love the way it feels.
I grew up in Fayetteville during the days we had the Times in the morning and the Observer in the evening.
I thought of the Times was okay.
Yeah, the Times was in the morning. Okay. And so you were either a Times family or an Observer family. We were observers, so I would get home from school, the paper was thrown on the driveway in a rubber band,
and if it rained and the bag that it was in got open, your paper was like this thick. Yes.
But so I remember those days. But I always recommend people, I don't really push the print edition. I know some people like that, but
not anymore. Now I love it online.
I always
but at the time,
they at least getting the digital edition because you do have access to the e-edition, and we have some great deals. Thanks for allowing me this plug. But it's a good way to keep up. I would say the same of City View. I mean, you want to keep up with what's going on. There is no outlet that's covering this community like the old Observer did.
I was going to say that because now
so you got to kind of read around.
You sure do, because I get the Fayetteville Observer and I'm like, national news, national news, national news, national news.
Yeah.
Where is what's going on down the street?
We do local news. We just don't have the bodies.
Right. And I think you mentioned that. I mean, I don't want to put your business out there, but
sure.
I mean, we discussed that.
Yeah.
That you got to be at a couple extra places today because you're missing what, two people?
Just two reporters. And now when I came to the Observer, it's been 27 years.
How many freelance reporters do you have?
We have a couple.
Okay.
But when I came, the newsroom, which is reporters, editors, graphic people, photo department, copy editors, that department was over 100 people. And that's just the newsroom. The company, Fayetteville Publishing Company, which is family owned, when I first got there, it was pushing 400 employees.
Yeah.
We are a fraction of that now. And our story is not unique. It's happening across the landscape, and it goes to the internet. Papers still have not figured out, media has not figured out how to replace that lost ad revenue that the print paper used to have. And then larger changes in the economy had an effect. Like when a Circuit City goes out, you all remember Circuit City?
Yep.
That was Best Buy before Best Buy was Best Buy. As a matter of fact, Best Buy helped push them out.
Oh, yeah.
Also some poor decisions on Circuit City's part. But they used to take out a huge glossy ad in the Sunday paper.
Yeah.
And so when a company like that goes, and all the other big boxes that we've seen go out of Toys R Us, think Christmas time. That was also Christmas for print newspapers because Toys R Us would take out huge ads and gone. So there's a lot that's going on, including some poor decision making on the part of people who own media. I think there was when you're living in what they call the fat years, you sometimes don't see, you're blinded to what's coming up behind you. Many corporations have that same story, and many businesses have that same story. And we got dinged by that. But I would recommend that everyone just read, there's a Fayetteville Business Journal, whatever. They do some good stuff. City View, of course.
See, here you are plugging your competition.
Yeah, we don't really see
they're all of them in the same room.
I know.
Yeah. But I'm glad you brought that up. I really don't view City View as competition. I'm happy to have them because there's so much news. And even with all the outlets I just named, there's a lot that goes unreported. Y'all know that. I mean, there's a lot of stories out there. And Fayetteville, as media has gotten smaller, the city is actually growing.
It is.
So I welcome anyone who comes into the market. And City View it represents a new kind of company in that they're basically nonprofits.
Right.
They're funded by a series of grants and so forth. And then now they're part of the Assembly.
Yes.
Which is, I was in a workshop. Actually, it was a cohort where the participants, the observers, City View, and some others were involved in how do you reach out to your community and build your publication that way. And so they were just a startup then. And so I said all that to say that that's kind of where they're coming from. They're not a corporate behemoth. They own all North Carolina papers, and they come with a North Carolina focus and a good journalism focus.
Yeah.
So, and that's the Assembly. So, and that's who owns City View now. So, there's some things happening. I wish they were happening faster. We need all hands on deck. What you guys do is important. Podcasts, as long as people are putting out, whether it's opinion based or news based, it's based on facts, not fiction.
Well,
and
opinions,
misinformation.
Opinions are just opinions. They're not necessarily facts.
They should still be based on.
They're
facts,
based.
right?
Well, yeah,
I've seen
they
some
should
opinions that were based on.
Crazy emotion.
Nonsense.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, because my opinion of MTG is based on my opinion of what I see. I don't know her, so I don't know what is in her heart or whatever. But
she has a record and she has public statements, so there's things you can look at, right?
Based on what I see of her, the little snippets. I mean, you watch reality TV and you see little snippets of people, and then you meet the person and you're like, you're not anything like that crazy woman online.
That's what worries me about when you see platforms like TikTok. I think TikTok is fine as far as it goes, but a lot of people, and y'all know this, that's their news source.
Yes. And you're taking 60 seconds out of 30 minutes of something that happened.
Right. Often there's no context except the context that the TikToker provides you.
Correct.
And they are often coming at it from a completely different angle. So that's why it's so important that we get more actual journalists and people who, if they're not journalists, at least they're concerned with the actual truth of the matter.
Right.
And not just let's throw some content out there and get people tuned in.
I was actually in the military, and I went to DINFOS in Fort Benjamin, Harrison, Indiana. I wanted to be a journalist.
Yeah. Oh, no kidding. Okay. Yeah. Well,
that's why she's doing what she did. Yeah.
That's why when this opportunity came open, I was like, heck yeah, I'm down. Let's go.
So not that we want to plug. I mean, look, I like that we have a neighborhood network. Like we got the Observer, we got City View, we got
Up and Coming,
Greater Fayetteville Business. So I listen to other podcasts that are.
No, you don't.
I do once in a while, but there's the Do Politics Better podcast out of Raleigh. I don't know if you caught that one or not.
Heard of them? I haven't heard it yet.
It's two lobbyists, I think, but. They had a girl on there. Her name was Hannah Preston. She's with Influence North Carolina. Now, what they do and what she's trying to do, and this is why I wanted to bring this up, you mentioned TikTok. It's almost like now, as journalist or in your business, you have to go there to serve your content. Because it's almost like we have to spoon feed. When I listened to her speaking, it was like basically Gen Z is, I don't want to say dumb, but they're just so, if it's not put in front of them, they ain't going to do it. They're
raised
not dumb
on devices.
That's right. They're not dumb at all, but they're not doing the extra leg that we were taught in order to research anything. They take what you gave them, that little piece, and they run with that. They didn't say that, holy smokes, there was 30 seconds before that puts that entirely into context. And it's funny because being a Republican, go figure, I've been called a racist before. And I said, well, I'm Hispanic. And they said, well, you're presenting white. I don't know what that means. But then when it's convenient, I'm a brown person again. It makes no difference, whatever. Whatever suits the narrative. So if I say, well, you know what, I believe this, well, you're presenting white. Well, hold on just a second. Which is it? Everybody's so particular about putting people in these little boxes. So we take these people and somebody hears that and says, oh yeah, she's a white woman, because they've heard that piece of it. Oh, but wait a minute, there's more to me than just as presenting as a white woman. I have a Hispanic background. My father, I'm a first generation American citizen. My father got his citizenship as I was a grown-up. There's so much more context to that. And I'm so tired of people taking little snippets and judging people on, oh my gosh, here I have, you must be a Democrat because you're a black man. And I must be a Republican because I'm a white woman. Actually, I'm a Hispanic
them liberal,
female.
not a Democrat.
Well, no, there's a difference between them. First of all, liberal and Democrat are two totally different things.
That's actually true.
And then there's a difference between a Republican and a right winger.
Because I even look at, I am a registered Democrat, but I know my parents are also registered Democrat. But I am much more toward the liberal end than they are. I mean, they were raised in the civil rights era. We all are.
Would we dare call them conservative Democrats?
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
But
okay.
I will say that they are strong people of faith, and
Right.
I am too. And my dad's a deacon, my mom's
Mhm.
a church mother, so they're coming at things. We're
Right.
more or less
With a
agree, but
kingdom
we're coming at
mindset, yeah.
different takes. So there is but you talk about people putting people in boxes, and that's where social media, unfortunately, it makes a problem worse.
Yep.
Mhm.
Because the time frame that these videos play out over 7 seconds, 12 seconds. One of the most horrifying things I read, and I'm being exaggerated a little bit, but when I first started, doing TikTok, and like you say, if you want to reach people in this business or any business, you have to be out there talking to them where they are.
Mhm.
I was looking up what's the average time of a TikTok video. The successful ones are like 7 seconds to 12 seconds. And that was tough for me because I'm a reader. I'm a book reader. I love to read books. So, and I'm a writer, obviously. So to see that reduced to just such a very short period of time. And so once I stopped obsessing about that, I kind of shaped the TikToks I post to whatever I want to say. And so now one of my more popular ones, I just posted, the Fayetteville Outer Loop open, I-295. Yep. And so I was like, I don't know where I got this idea. So let me just ride the whole thing, record it. And that's what I did. And I sped it up. So the video's like 3 minutes, 31 seconds. And a lot of people have watched it. I've been pleased at the response to it, and I really like it. I pointed out some exits along the way, Camden Road, because as the name suggests, it goes all the way around the city. Yeah. It is actually going to be a game changer.
That's 40 miles worth of road.
Yeah, just under 39 miles. Yeah. Just under 40 miles. It was a 26-year project. I'm the last person at the paper who was there when it started.
Nice.
Many years ago. So I remember.
Well, that brings me to something else about infrastructure. That on Thursday we have the meeting at Fayetteville Tech where I will be speaking for the chamber regarding the interbasin transfer.
Yep.
I guess
That's
Carrie's Carrie's trying to steal our water this time.
Fuquay.
Fuquay. They're all the same. Yeah. Yankee strongholds.
Not Fayetteville.
Not Fayetteville.
Containment area for relocated Yankees.
What I wanted to mention, you said 26. It is 26 years construction. Yeah. But it was 40 years in planning.
That's right.
And that's why it's so important that you, me, and a bunch of other people go Thursday and speak against this basin transfer, because that's going to impact what we can do 30 years from now.
That's right.
It ain't about right now.
That's right.
And that's what a lot of people, I think, miss with local government.
Yeah.
They might not like who's in the seat right now, but that person is determining your destiny 10 and 15 years down the road.
And that's why
by decisions that are made.
It's so important to not get, especially when you're talking about local government, so obsessed or into, this person's a Democrat, this person's a Republican. They're representing your community, and are they competent, right? Because if you talk about the outer loop, and I didn't learn this until I was out there at the ribbon cutting, which was last Tuesday. The first discussions about what became the outer loop was 1969.
Yeah.
It was a group of folks across the river. They were like, we need a bridge across a road across the river. And one of those folks turned out to be eventually the DOT secretary and commissioner, right? And so that's how it starts. Though.
Yeah.
It takes many years.
We have I-685 that's been proposed, and we're trying to get it here like nobody's business.
That could be a boom.
But that's 30 years.
I know.
To go. So, so I do want to say that this morning, County Commission did reelect themselves. Their new the chairman is still Kirk Deviere and vice chair Veronica Jones. So, but those are the people that are our delegation. Those are the people that we're sending up in front of DOT. We need them to be competent and know what the hell they're talking about, so they can advocate properly for our community. Yeah.
And now we got on that same subject, we got a data center person who's looking at Fayetteville. Now I know there are different views on data centers, but
I've heard stuff about data centers, and isn't there a lot of waste water?
Yeah. Well, they use a lot of water. Don't we have enough water
issues?
And they use a lot of power. And just to give you a good illustration of the power usage. So, Georgia is kind of where North Carolina is, kind of a purple state, probably a little more red than we are. I don't know. We're about the same, about pink state, whatever, politically. But they had two commissioners. They have a state power commission. They elect them, actually. Two commissioners they happened to be Republican, but they didn't get voted out necessarily because they were Republican. They got voted out because Georgians' power bills are through the roof because of all the data centers.
Right.
So that's the effect that these things can have on power. Now, there's others who live near them who say they're also loud. You kind of think they're computers.
But we want jobs and we want stuff.
And we want jobs. So it's not a cut and dry thing, but it's certainly something we need to stay on top of. Now, the data center guy developer, he's got one for Edgecombe County. He wants to build a second one there. And then he's like, and maybe Fayetteville.
Well, I thought there was one going in Rockingham.
That's right. There is.
But they are going to work with economic development, and they are going to have school, a connection to the high school and the colleges to teach people for the next generation.
Right.
Of
so
jobs.
they can operate. I mean, once they're up and running, they don't require a lot of employees, but it is good, steady employment for the people who do get those
But it
jobs.
is a huge drain on the resources of the area
and the water in particular.
And we already have water issues.
Big water issues.
So we need to make sure that the people that we're electing are going to focus on that. You know what? Yes, you can come to Fayetteville, but you're going to pick up the sub. They're going to have subs. That's right. You're going to pick up the tab for the electricity so that our constituents don't have it. That's correct.
Exactly.
See, Republicans and Democrats can think. That's what I'm saying.
Local.
I'm not. Well, I mean, even
national too.
I agree.
Mr. Pitts, we got to have you back because we went way to 56 minutes. I just looked at the clock.
Half an hour.
Wait a minute. So, but it was a pleasure having you this afternoon, Myron. Thank you, and please come back. We'll have to figure out a better time to record than Monday nights.
All right.
And Laura, good to see you. Thank you for being here. To all of our listeners, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.